are there any fads out there right now that you're just like, no, nonsense? Is like celery juice like a real thing?
I had a traumatizing experience with celery juice. Like straight up traumatizing. You said celery juice and I literally just tasted it. And
really?
I'm like, yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Girls Podcast presented by This Is College. I'm Racquel
and I'm Natasha.
And if you guys are new here, welcome. We're millennials and we deal with a lot of issues, anxiety, self-love, all that good stuff. But today we are talking about nutrition and dieting, which I think is
much
important.
Needed.
We haven't really talked about that yet. Before we get into it and introduce our guest, go ahead and give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts because it really does help us. And of course, YouTube, subscribe, like, ring the bell, all that good stuff. But let's get into today's episode. We have Isla from the Millennial Nutritionist on TikTok. Yes, we said that right. TikTok, guys. We've had a lot of TikTokers on recently.
I know, it's fun though.
It is really fun.
It's the best way to discover people and I mean, hopefully one day that'll happen for us on TikTok. We're still trying to figure it out for ourselves, but we saw, lots of people with the millennial titles and we came across her and it's really awesome because a lot of the stuff that she talks about obviously is related to our audience. So we were like, why not have her on?
Yeah, so welcome.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. And Natasha actually found you and she was like, we have to have her on. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, hell yeah, I'm totally about it. Because we haven't had anyone, we've had all of the self-love and we've talked about anxiety and we are very open with our mental health. But I think food and your relationship with food is really important, especially at our age because our bodies are changing, our metabolism is slowing down. Do you find that you have a lot of millennials coming to you being like, I don't know what's going on with my body, help me?
Oh my gosh, yes. That's the majority of the people I see. I do see like random like older women, and I don't take any kids. So most of the people I do see are millennials, but yeah, a lot of people are just like, just please tell me how to eat. Like I was never taught how to eat. I don't know what to do. Like I don't know how to like stop gaining weight, or I just like don't know how to be at a healthy place for my body. So yes, that's like most of what I see.
Yeah, that's something that I've struggled with a lot. Of course, with us both being dancers, we obviously had to make sure that our weight was in check, but then more than anything, I think especially like in Racquel's case, like being so active in dance, that just kind of strips down your weight anyways. Like you just stay kind of teeny tiny because of the fitness, but we were still
Then I got to college.
I was like, then we were still eating like chicken nuggets like before practice and stuff. Like that was a thing.
I was eating. So gross. It's so gross to even think about this. But those like 7,000 calorie cinnamon buns.
Oh my God.
I would have 2 of them before I would go on stage. Sometimes.
Seriously?
Yeah, because I was literally 90 pounds my senior year of high school. I was ripped, had abs, but competition days I was there at 6 a.m. and I wasn't leaving until 2 a.m. So at that point you're just like putting in your body whatever is going to give you enough sugar at the time.
Yeah, you need the fuel.
Yeah.
And you're already burning so many of those calories anyway, so it's like kind of like, who cares?
Yeah, but like, and then you get to college. I remember freshman year of college, I was like pasta. And then I got like the freshman 10 or 15 because I was eating pasta. That's what I ate growing up because I needed fuel. But then I was like, oh, this is a problem. I get it now. And you have to try and transition and figure out how to eat. And I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
You're figuring it out too.
Look, being from California, I definitely have an upper hand when it comes to diet, I think, because a lot of trends and even fads come out of California. So I am pretty knowledgeable with that, and I'm very passionate about food to begin with. And at one point, I was pescatarian. I had omitted red meat from my diet. I had omitted dairy from my diet. I had omitted sugar from my diet. I was very clean.
Wow.
And it was something that took me time to transition to that point because I wasn't like, okay, I'm eliminating everything all at once. Like, no, it was like one step at a time, and it worked for me. But then then I got broke, then I started doing DoorDash, and I started to compare Burger King's burger with McDonald's burger, and here we are now. So I know with your content, you do like to do like a lot of like replacements, I think you were mentioning to us before. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Help us.
Yeah. So starting out when I first started this business, I actually just like wanted to focus on healthy eating. I didn't really want to focus on weight loss, but I don't know. People want like a product, right? When they buy stuff. So healthy eating, I didn't think would be like that much of a sought after product as much as I think so many people need weight loss and just like trying to navigate like, what do people really struggle from, and really like trying to understand like what I feel like millennials struggle most with. So I asked one of my friends once, I was like, what do you like think that people struggle with our age? Because it's hard for me sometimes, to get out of the mind of a dietitian and in the mind of like somebody who's trying to lose weight. She was like, I just really need to know what to eat when I like go to McDonald's. Like, that's what I need. I don't know. Like, I know I need to eat like fruits and vegetables. Like, I know that, but I've never heard like, well, I already go with my friends. So like, am I just not supposed to eat what? And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to start doing this. Mm-hmm. And so my husband always jokes with me. He's like, you're going to be like the fast food dietitian. I was like, no, I'm not. But I feel like that's what people love to see now. And I can totally see why, because I don't think enough people talk about like, you don't have to cut it out. You just have to like, no, maybe you need to pick like burger bun or the fries, or like the salad with fries, or just the burger by itself. So I really enjoyed like seeing like how many people like that stuff.
So can you give us like some of those scenarios, like maybe give us like 5. So if you are going to the McDonald's or maybe some other places that I know of course mentioned on TikTok, but if anyone hasn't seen them yet, what are some of those choices that we should be making instead?
So let's see. Normally I kind of have like a guideline that I go by when I'm like trying to pick out meals or like pick out these swaps. And I always try to say, try to only do like one carb source. So that would be either like the French fries or the bun, and trying to add like a fruit or vegetable if possible. Some places are good about it and some are not. So like, for example, let's see. So I think I just did one on Chick-fil-A, and
perfect. Love Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
That was the one we needed.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes.
So I know Chick-fil-A has the fruit cup. So I think I compared like the burger and fries to the, which I think was like 800 calories, to the Cool Wrap. Everyone loves the Cool Wrap. The Cool Wrap and the fruit, which there would be like a carb source in the wrap, and then fruit's technically a carb, but I count that as like fruit or vegetable. What would be another example? So like another example.
Chipotle?
Oh, Chipotle. So Chipotle, I've done one, and I show that. So if you think about like all the carb sources that go into Chipotle, like beans with rice with, what else is there? I guess those are the big ones, those two. But then also like do sour cream and guacamole, like all those things together can be like 1,000 calorie bowl.
Cheese.
Yeah, and cheese. Yeah. So swapping that to a salad is a lot better. So doing like a salad base, and then choosing between beans or rice, and then choosing one of the fats like guacamole or sour cream or cheese would get that down. If you're trying to lose weight, is like what I always like to say. Like if you're not, don't worry about it. But yeah, if you are, then that could be a solution for you. Let's see if I can think of another one.
What's
or if y'all have
place you go? Like Subway or like what? Well, no, you don't do those.
I do that. I don't do Chipotle. I really only do like Chick-fil-A when I even.
Yeah, she's like a big Chick-fil-A fan. What about
really?
like
anything with nuggets?
Well, even like drinks, like so like Starbucks, for example, like drinks are always like loaded with calories and sugar, and we never think about that because we're like always like food.
Right.
Starbucks. So the biggest thing when you go to Starbucks is to try to go for a coffee version of like the best drink. So lattes, no matter like what milk, unless you're doing almond milk, there's a lot more calories in the plain milk, which is good if you're not trying to lose weight. But if you are trying to swap to the coffee with like, I always say like 2 pumps of your favorite, and then like 2 pumps of sugar free. So for example, like just a regular vanilla latte, that could be around like 400 calories with regular milk, which is whole milk, and like their 4 pumps of full sugar syrup. And then swapping that instead of the coffee. Yeah, the coffee version can only be like 90 calories with just like plain coffee, cream, and like all sugar-free syrup, or like half and half sugar-free syrup and half not.
Is oat milk better than almond milk, or does it not matter? I'm asking because I've been putting oat milk in my coffee, and which is better for myself.
So better for health or for like weight loss?
Just for my stomach in general too.
Both.
Just to feel better.
Oh, okay. So there for your stomach, either one is absolutely fine. For weight loss, oat milk is typically higher in calories. A lot of people don't think about that compared to almond milk. So yeah, if you're trying to lose weight, maybe go for almond milk instead. But if you don't care, you're just trying to be healthy, either one is a great choice.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, that's been my biggest thing is, again, coming from California, reading labels was always a huge thing. I worked at Whole Foods at one point, so I was like very into all of that. I even worked in a vegan place too. And like I've just learned like a lot about diet in that regard, and reading labels is always a huge thing. And I remember when matcha started becoming really popular, and I would try the matcha, I think it was like an iced matcha latte or something from Starbucks for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Let me check the ingredients. And of course, it was either the first or the second ingredient that was something with sugar in it. So it was either like cane sugar or the high fructose corn syrup, one of those things. I don't remember. And I was like, oh, this is not matcha. So I didn't drink it anymore. So just if you know, if any of you are drinking matcha from Starbucks, it's full of sugar, by the way. And the
Calls
thing is,
out.
no, and the thing is, I'm not hating, like, I think it tastes good, but as far as your health, these are the things that you have to really pay attention to. And I Google this stuff all the time, like, to know what's in it, especially if you're getting it from the place, if you're not like taking it home that has a label on it. So like Starbucks, for example. And yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised. Like stuff like this comes ready made. It's already in powder form. So it already has the sugar. You can't omit the sugar at that point. When I worked at Whole Foods, I got the Rude Awakening that a lot of the stuff that you think is freshly made there is not. And I was disappointed. I didn't know. Like when I started working there, I was like, yes, like I love this place. Like that's why I want to work for this company. I'm not knocking it. I still shop there all the time, but you definitely don't walk into the store, don't walk into there thinking that everything is healthy because it's not. But yeah, like when you're shopping for stuff and when I know one rule is always don't go shopping, go grocery shopping when you're hungry.
And that's always when I end up at the supermarket.
Most of the time, I go to Publix, I buy a rotisserie chicken, and then I want to get mac and cheese and chips, and because I'm starving. What are some of the tips that you have for the relationship that you have with food, especially in circumstances like that?
Especially when you're hungry.
When you're starving.
I think, oh gosh. So I think a big thing that can help is trying to not get to that point where you are starving. So, I see, because I do focus on weight loss, I see a lot of people who try like too hard. So they'll like try to eat only like very little amount of calories. And it's like, it seems like that would work because it's like, it seems like the less calories you eat, the more you would lose weight. But what ends up happening is like, if you like try to skip breakfast and deny your hunger cues, and then you go to the grocery store, you're going to like overeat. So you end up like not really losing any weight, as opposed to just like honoring when you're hungry or when you're full and eating a little bit when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, which sounds really simple, but it's really hard, especially when like we have all these like things that are tied up in diet culture. When people say like, oh, well, you should like intermittently fast, or like, oh no, you need to eat breakfast. So I can totally see how that's confusing. But yeah, a tip would be to just try to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And then as far as I guess going to the grocery store, like the biggest thing is trying to stay around the perimeter of the store. I don't know if everyone's already heard this, but that's normally where like all the fresh foods are. So like the produce and the meats and dairy and eggs. In the middle is like where a lot of like manufactured foods, which aren't bad for you, but they typically are higher in calories and just like don't have as many vitamins and minerals.
No, totally. And that's one thing that I learned in the past, and I should practice what I preach, but I can't right now, is, doing those little swaps. Like the other day when I went to Whole Foods, I wasn't starving, thank God, but I walked out of there like, okay, like I saw these little like chickpea chips, and I was like, I'm a snacker. Like, I think you're a snacker too. Like we're snackers, and not everyone is, but when you are, like, you need to have something in the house that you can munch on or like have in your mouth. Like, sorry, that's just what it is. And so it's tough sometimes because like I like salty stuff and I want the chips and those kind of things. And so trying to find like swaps like that. Again, I mean, I don't know, like reading the label, I think is the biggest thing. Like when I got those little chickpea chips, it only had like 5 ingredients or something, like the oil to make them crispy and like the seasoning or something. So I was like, okay, these don't look too bad. And I'd rather finish, a bag of that than finish a bag of Flaming Hot Cheetos or Doritos or something,
That's gonna put you in the hospital. So.
Which, normally makes me ill. I've had a really hard time with binge eating. And I know other people that have talked about it too, where like, sometimes like, one thing is emotional eating and then another thing is binge eating. And then like the combo of that is just detrimental. And it's happened to me recently where like, I just feel like the only way to make myself feel better is to eat. And then when I eat, I want to binge. And I've never done that before. So I was wondering if you have any like, I guess, thoughts on that.
Tips.
Yeah, like if you have any thoughts on that or like people that you've like helped with stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually see this a lot, and it kind of goes back to what I was just saying. Like, there could be like a lot of reasons that that's happening. Like you said, the first reason could be like an underlying emotional issue. So for that, definitely trying to find like a therapist, or like trying to like trying to like really figure out like why does that happen? Like if you're stressed, can you do something else? Can you like make a list, or can you like just watch TV for a little bit and kind of like deal with those emotions in that way? Not like ignore the emotions, but like call a friend or like call your mom or something like that and deal with that emotion that way. Or sometimes I see it where people, like I said a little bit ago, don't eat enough. And so if you're not eating enough like during the day or like on weekdays, and then always find you like are overeating like at every like the Super Bowl party that's coming up, or like a Valentine's Day event, or like a date night where you're like at a pizza place and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I just eat that whole pizza? I see this like resolve itself once you're able to work some of those like taboo foods into your diet during the week. So for example, I just had a client, she recently came to me she was doing keto, and then she stopped that, and she gained all of her weight back. And she was just like, I cannot stop eating desserts. Like it's all I want to eat, and I don't know how to stop. And so we focused on like trying to, first of all, feed her enough so she wasn't hungry, because that helps cut out that craving. And then second of all, working those desserts like in during the day and during the weekdays, so they don't seem as like bad. And then psychologically, now when she's around them, she's like, I don't even feel the need to eat them. She's like, I'll have one and I feel fine. And she used to not feel like that. So those are just two tips. So like, first of all, try to deal with your emotions, all emotions. And second of all, like try to eat enough.
Yeah, totally. I have friends where they literally just won't eat all day, and then it's just like a binge dinner at night. And again, I mean, everyone has their way of like working their diet into their lifestyle or whatever. But yeah, it was the first time that I ever experienced it, and it was really bizarre because, I mean, this is just me being open and honest and real right now. I guess you're going to get to hear it, but it was to the point where like I literally wanted to throw up, and it was weird. It was a very weird thing. And I'm sure like if anyone that's listening right now, and I have friends that have been bulimic before, and I've never done that myself, but it's something that's real and it's something that happens. And I can't believe like at 30 years old that I like experienced it now. Like that was something that like my friends dealt with like in high school or something. So it was just it was an unusual experience. But I wanted to ask about drinks.
Oh yeah, drinking. Because obviously here in Miami, drinking is a huge part of life. Yeah. Miami has basically turned into Vegas, or Vegas 2.0. So everyone here, whenever I have friends coming in, they're like, oh my God, let's go out, let's drink, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, I don't wanna, like, but you feel like you have to, because if they're drinking so much and you're just like, I'm gonna be sober Sally here in the corner and be like miserable the whole night. And I think that's been really hard. I mean, obviously being at home has helped that, because now I'm like, I don't need to drink, it's fine. Sitting at home in a global pandemic, but when everything was open and we were at events and 24/7, you feel like you have to take the glass of champagne, have to take the shot, have to do this. It's especially working in the music industry, everyone's always drinking. I found it really hard at times to be like, okay, no, I can't, but I need to, because the DJ's offering us the drink, we have to drink it, you know what I mean? So how do you kind of combat those issues?
So those issues, and normally again, like always trying to find like the root source of why you feel like you have to drink that much. And there can be like different reasons. So sometimes I have clients who feel like, it's a part of their social life, like kind of like you were saying, like it's not like they're just like at home feeling like every day they need to drink 3 glasses of wine. Like it's like, okay, well, I went out to dinner with friends and I don't want to say no, or I'm like at a party or something and I don't want to say no. So if that is the issue, I normally tell them to either, first of all, like find a lower calorie like option, if they're trying to lose weight. So sometimes they're like, I like to drink 4 drinks a night. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to do like tequila and like just water or something like that, like just keeping it very low calorie. So you're still getting that buzz. But if it's a little bit deeper and you don't feel like you really can have fun without drinking, or maybe you don't have the confidence to say no, that kind of goes back to like that psychological, like trying to deal with that part that I'm not fully equipped with. I can like identify it in you, but trying to deal with that part also helps you to have the confidence to say no. I mean, it's absolutely not bad to like drink. But doing those 2 things can really help. Or sometimes I have clients that it's just like out of habit. Like they don't even realize that it's like every day they like just like drink a beer with like dinner or something like that. And so if they like really like the taste and they like the habit, sometimes I try to like switch them over to kombucha. Like I find that that's a really good like swap, because it kind of has that like acid taste. or like just trying to find like a hot tea or something if it's like more so out of habit at home and it signifies like time for bed, time to calm down. Like a lot of times I get moms that are like, I need my glass of wine because it just like helps me calm down at the end of the night. I'm like, okay, let's do something else. Like, CBD is a great option out there that can help you like really calm down without being high in calories. So those are a couple of different scenarios and like solutions that I do for those.
What are some drinks, if you are trying to lose weight, that you suggest people have if they, they're fine, they can have a drink, it's good, but they are focused on losing weight? What is a good drink option?
What a perfect segue into talking about our sponsor.
What do you know? Sometimes we know what we're doing.
Because, of course, with the Millennial Nutritionist, what better way to talk about nutrition than having a nutritious, spiked superfruit water with Dezo. So we have the watermelon flavor in front of us. It's one of our faves. They have 3, the watermelon water, the cactus water, and the coconut water. And they're all spiked with gluten-free vodka.
So your stomach won't hurt and neither will your head the next day, guys.
Neither will your head. But yeah, no, what more fitting way to promote them on this podcast, because we're talking with the Millennial Nutritionist, and of course, we're all talking about nutrition. We want to put good things into our body, and that's what we love about Dezo, is that they're really transparent with their ingredients and what they put. So we know that when we're drinking this, we know what we're putting into our body. So
all natural ingredients, superfruit water. It's good for you, and it won't make you feel bad the next day. What more could we want, right?
So make sure, if you want to find out more, click the link in the description below, and make sure that to tell them that Millennial Girls Podcast referred you.
Yeah, so those, I found that trying to find like 100-calorie drinks is the best. So a couple of option are like Trulies, are like super popular now, like seltzers. Those are great to like have for a night. Trying to really find like liquor that you like and just pairing it with like seltzer water and a lime. That's sometimes people like really like that option. Or doing like a light beer. So craft beers, people don't realize how many calories are in craft beers. I don't know if it's as popular in Miami, but North Carolina, it's like all about craft beers and breweries. And there's really 250 calories a piece. So trying to swap down to a lower calorie beer is a great option as well. What's another one? Wine. So doing white wine, or just like a not sweet wine, that can bring it down to about that 100-calorie option. I think those are
I love the sweet.
She likes the sweet wine.
That's why I just laughed. I laughed because whenever we go to dinner, everyone's like, I'm like, what's the sweetest one?
Yeah. No, this is, if you haven't heard, so we actually just got sponsored by Dezo, and Dezo is super awesome and it tastes really good actually. Like, this is a cactus water, and there's a coconut water, and there's a watermelon water, and it's gluten-free vodka, and it literally has like, it doesn't have sugar in it. Like, it doesn't have any of like the artificial sweeteners or anything in it. So it's actually like, I mean, I'm just saying this to you too. Like, this actually could be a very good alternative as well.
To suggest.
Because it's, they're transparent with their ingredients. Like, literally this just says prickly pear, lemon, Himalayan sea salt, and it's like carbonated.
Yeah, this is gluten-free vodka, coconut water, acai berry, Himalayan sea salt, carbonation. So there's literally nothing in it, which is why we reach out to them and everything to even partner with them in the first place.
That's the thing too, like all the sugars and everything that's in all that obviously gives you a hangover. Like the minute you have, 10,000 mojitos, you're not going to feel so swell the next day, or a ton of champagne, you're always going to have a headache the next day. But I think also, avoiding putting yourself in enabling situations, like that's something that I've learned over time too. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't have a social life, but maybe pick and choose when you're going to do what and with who, because it's tricky sometimes, especially if you're one to not be able to say no in those situations, whether it's to alcohol or whether it's to food. You have to just not put yourself in that position sometimes. And I know a lot of like the very healthy eaters that are on YouTube and stuff like that, they'll bring their own snacks and they bring their own stuff when they go to their friends' houses. And I know it's a pain in the ass, and you don't want to have to carry around a bag of all your food and stuff. But sometimes if you want to make those drastic diet changes, that's just the best way to do it. And if you have it kind of right in front of you, I think it's just easier to reach for it than something else, which is why like the other day when I got the chickpea chips and I know I'm a snacker, I was like, I'm just going to get myself the hummus. I'm going to get myself some celery sticks and carrots that are already cut, that I don't have to cut myself and like think. And if I see it there, I'm just going to grab it and I'm going to eat it. And, you know, it's better than me starving and then I want to Uber eat a pizza to myself. And then, you know, then what do you do?
Right. It's like the circle of life, but it's like with food. So you kind of have to start your day and realize, because my thing is, if I'm having an anxiety day, I don't eat. I'm the opposite of the emotional eater. I just don't eat. Mm-hmm. And so that's a problem too, because then by the time I get to dinner, I'm starving. And I haven't eaten all day, like you were talking about earlier. So I think it is kind of being aware of your issue and what's the root of the issue. And like, okay, the other day I was like super anxious and it was a day and we were super stressed out, had a lot to do. I made myself eat the yogurt for breakfast with granola. And then I got to lunch. I was like, okay, I'm still going to do, even though I'm not hungry and I really don't have time to eat and I'm have anxiety about this next meeting, I'm going to eat the turkey wrap. I'm going to do it. So that's definitely helped a lot too, is realizing where it comes from and where it starts.
Do you have clients that are the reverse, so they're trying to gain weight?
I don't try to take on those clients just because there's great dietitians out there who can do that and specialize in that. I actually am though. I did take on one client who is a guy who's trying to gain weight through like muscle. And so it's fun for him because most of the time I like have to tell clients, you know, like, okay, your weight loss calories are like 1,700 or like 1,800. Him, I'm like, you got to eat 3,500 calories a day.
You're like, let's go. Protein, bro.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, you know, everyone has a different body type. So a lot of times, you know, when, you know, you sit there and why is it that model can eat whatever the heck she wants and she's still, you know, as thin as a toothpick? And it's like, well, because she has a different kind of body and she has
20 feet tall.
She has a different metabolism. Like, unfortunately, I don't have that one, but, you know, it's also a struggle for people to gain weight. I know a couple of people myself where they even complain like, oh my God, because they don't want to have to stuff themselves to the rim, but that's what they have to do in order to keep weight. So, you know, there's issues all around. It doesn't mean just in, you know, trying to lose weight as well. But that's I love the content that you do with the swaps. Like I think that's a really good and relatable way to do diet, because so many people focus on like counting calories and the macros and do paleo and do keto. And like, I used to do Atkins and that used to work for me. And it's basically keto, where you're doing, you know, high protein, high fat, low carb. And now I can't do it because when I have too much of like the red meat or, you know, like the cheeses, like I can't digest it anymore. So it's like, yeah. Now what do you do? Now what do you do when you get to 30? So I just turned 30. I'm, I guess the middle of the millennials. I'm not the oldest, but, once you kind of get to that point where your metabolism kind of slows down, what's the advice that you give to the people in the aging process of digestion?
Gotcha. So your metabolism definitely slows as you get older, and it sounds like y'all were both really active, so it's probably like continued to just slow. But you can like increase your metabolism. That's totally a thing that happens at all phases of life. And so if you're trying to increase your metabolism, the best thing to do is honestly strength train. I feel like there's like this taboo for women in strength training, but you're not going to get big unless you eat like 4,000 calories a day. Like those bodybuilders, they eat that much. But in order to increase your metabolism, you do have to have muscle on you, and it won't like look big. You'll just look a little more defined. I feel like that's the style now anyway. But doing more strength training and also eating more, because the more you eat, the more your body is like triggered to be like, okay, I'm getting more food, so I need to like rev up this engine inside of me to burn it. If you're coupling it with like the appropriate amount of exercise, you won't gain weight. You'll just increase your metabolism. So normally that's what I recommend.
So at this point that during COVID, and quarantine, that I've been sitting on my butt for long periods of time, and I haven't been able to partner dance anymore because I'm not supposed to touch people
or breathe on them
or sweat on them. What do you suggest now? Like someone like me, let's say, where I've put on, I think in the last 2 years, I've put on almost like 20 pounds. Even though it like shocks myself to say the number, but that's the number, because I was pretty thin a couple years ago. I was actually the leanest I had ever been. It just happened. Like I didn't try. What do you suggest now for everybody that's been
sitting
cooped up at home and trying to lose those first 10?
Yeah, that's like all that I see now, of course, because almost like a ton of people have. And you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because I don't know if you used to like work in an office, but like walking to your car, that's a little bit of activity that people don't think about that adds up over like a year of like walking or walking upstairs or walking to get water or whatever you do in your office. And also trying to like adjust to like your workplace being next to a kitchen, I find is like another challenge for people as well. So exactly.
Welcome to our office.
Right. Yeah. So it's like anytime it's like, I have a work break, like let's go get a snack, or like, I feel like eating, let's just like go get a snack. So what I try to do with clients is like really try to help them understand like what were you doing before COVID and like you put on this weight, like what were those habits? Because we need to like reverse engineer them to this lifestyle now. So like taking like a walk in the morning or a walk at some point somewhere to like kind of mimic that whole like you walk into your car and stuff, or just getting in making sure you get in 30 minutes of exercise. If not, you're going to have to eat less because that activity has lowered. And another tip is if you do find it's a problem because you're like, if you're endlessly snacking or just like always thinking about food, trying to set like designated meal times, I find is really helpful for people. So like trying to tell yourself, okay, like get into a routine. Okay, this is my breakfast time. This is my lunch time. This is my dinner time. This is my snack time. And not having that like just like endless amount of like eating time all day long can help, and really being present when you eat. So like sitting at the table, figuring out what your meal is, like enjoying your meal. And that way your mind is told like, I ate, we're going to move on, rest for a couple hours, and then eat the next meal. So those tips have really helped my clients.
I like that, being the present too. I know somebody that told me when she had first moved into her apartment and she would like actually set her table to eat her meal by herself. I was like, wow, like that's a lot of work. But I mean, it sounds nice too. Like you're kind of like having a date with yourself, but like you said, it's like designating that time for this is me eating, not like on my computer and on my phone
doing
and
a
eating
thousand things, right? What's the latest you think someone should eat? Because I always hear you shouldn't eat past 7, you shouldn't eat past 8, you shouldn't eat past 6, and you're like, okay, but like that's not realistic. So let's.
You're like, I go to bed at 4:00 in the morning.
Right. So if I'm up, if we're working on stuff for the podcast until 3 a.m. I mean, sorry, I'm gonna have a snack. And okay, so what is also if you need to have a snack late because you are up and you're trying to edit a podcast or whatever, what should we be eating that late, and when should we be eating for breakfast then that next couple hours later?
So I actually teach weight loss through calorie tracking because I find that it really helps with answers like this, because scientifically the way it works is like, it doesn't matter if you eat like all of your calories at like 12 o'clock at night, or if you spread it out throughout the day, like your weight will be the same. It's nothing like in your body that's like, okay, well you ate at 7, so let me add on 2 pounds to that, as opposed to if you ate that at 5, like it like, I feel like media makes it really seem like that, but there really isn't. And so, like, it really doesn't matter what you eat at nighttime. The only thing that does matter is if like, I find that if people like actually eat more at night, because like you said, like if you've already eaten dinner and then your mind is like, okay, it's like fun time, I'm gonna eat like milkshakes and brownies and stuff like that. Yeah, like you're gonna gain weight, but still trying to like make that snack healthy. My like golden rule for snacking is trying to pair fruit or vegetable with a protein. So if you like ate dinner and you want a late night snack, maybe like apples and peanut butter, or like celery and peanut butter, or like ham and cheese roll up with like grapes on the side or something like that. And trying to do that for a snack helps with just like it being healthy and you staying full, getting some fiber in. But as far as what time, it really doesn't matter.
See, I always say it's hummus o'clock around 9 p.m. is hummus o'clock.
Hummus o'clock. But you
That's
do you eat hummus with pita chips or with like
pretzel,
vegetables?
sometimes pretzel chips. I also have had multigrain chips, like that kind of thing. Just because I don't crave sweet. I'm like her, I crave salty. So even that time of the month, I'm still like salty.
Yeah.
So then
salt.
it's extra on top of it. But I don't really do the brownies and the cookie because then my stomach hurts and then I'm like, I don't want to do that. So hummus o'clock.
Hummus o'clock.
That's how I live my life.
Are there certain health issues that kind of like reoccur with people? Like let's say like high cholesterol or like diabetic or anything like that you want to touch on? Because I know like for me, sorry Dad, I feel like I say this every episode. I've gotten high cholesterol in a couple of my testing back, and he's always telling me, he's going to text me so much after this.
Can't wait.
He's always telling me how I need to like not have red meat and like, you know, not have eggs and all this stuff because it's in the family and it's going to happen to me if I don't take care of myself, but it's already happened.
So we're here.
I'm like, what do I do? What do you omit? And not just like for that, like if there are any other health concerns that people come to you with, I'm curious to see like what tips you give in regards to those diets, I guess.
Yeah, so high cholesterol. I actually have high cholesterol too, and so does my husband. And even though I'm like pretty healthy and like pretty fit and stuff, and cholesterol is like a combination of things. So if you have high cholesterol, I recommend like trying to eat low saturated fat, which sounds like you do if you don't eat that much meat anyway, but it also has to be combined with exercise. That one, like specifically cardio, needs to happen like a couple of times a week and getting in enough fiber. So the recommendation for women is 25 grams, which can be achieved as long as you're eating like a fruit or vegetable with every meal and one at each snack. So it needs to happen about like 5 times a day to get that amount in. And all of those things combined can help decrease cholesterol. But as far as like other things I see, honestly, most of the time I see like people who sometimes I see like PCOS and thyroid because women struggle with that a lot, and those really contribute to weight gain, and it can feel like nothing you do helps. So both of those though can first of all need to be controlled medically. So those aren't things that can be cured by nutrition, but weight loss can help, especially the PCOS part. Like it's so exciting when women like get their fertility back because they've been able to lose weight in a healthy way. And PCOS, that the best way to kind of lose weight is making sure you don't eat too many carbs because that insulin resistance is there. But also making sure that your like mind is good. Let's see. The last one I feel like I get is anxiety. I did not realize how many people with anxiety have weight troubles. Like I honestly want to say like 90% of my clients have like generalized anxiety disorder. And so that one, it's not really medical, but it does still, like when you're not able to lose weight and you're really trying, it can really, really make it worse. And so trying to help those people with anxiety like that, like goes back to the like making like eating throughout the day, not like under eating and then overeating can really help that anxiety part of the weight loss. So those are kind of things that I see a lot and help with.
In any of those, would you suggest omitting something, or is it just changing, like how you said, like the discipline of it?
So omitting. Sometimes with PCOS, I do like recommend just like PCOS is very different from person to person, but sometimes I do have to recommend to like only eat like one fruit a day just because there is a lot more concentrated sugar in fruit. And so with those with PCOS, they're very, very sensitive to any sugar, even if it's healthy, unhealthy, whatever. So trying to eat more vegetables than fruit, that'd be like an example of some to cut out. And then for the high cholesterol, cutting out, trying to cut out like red meat can really be helpful. I normally say like 1 time a week you can do red meat, but really trying to do more like fish, chicken. You can do like meatless Monday better. Like the more beans you can do, the better. So those would be like what I would tell them to cut out.
Oh, interesting. Do you know if beer attributes to high cholesterol?
Oh, does beer? I do not think that it contributes to high cholesterol. It can contribute to a lot of other things, but I don't know about beer.
You're like, to a gut? No, I'm asking because a friend of mine also gets high cholesterol sometimes, and we always make jokes like, I guess we gotta cut down on the beer. Okay, no, I was just curious. And with anxiety too, is there ever like, besides like the discipline of it, which I've never really thought of, I guess, like if you're anxious all the time, and it happens to me too, like especially if I feel like very like in a depressive mood, I don't want to eat either, which is when I'll lose weight a lot of times. But having that contrast of like emotional eating or like not starving, and like is there anything you would add to the diet or omit from the diet at that point?
I think that for adding or taking away, so mostly I do just deal with like shifts. So there's not like, my whole philosophy is like there's no bad or good food, especially because I like always view things in the view of like weight loss. So with weight loss, you can pretty much eat whatever as long as it's within your calories. It's just like you said, like the discipline and consistency of not going over. But there is like one interesting thing. I try not to like pressure clients too much about it because it can get really complicated, but there's a lot of like fun new research that talks about like the brain gut like pathway. I don't know if y'all have heard of that.
Yep. Everyone always talks about that. Yep.
Yeah. So the more they're finding a lot of connection between like your stomach that has really good bacteria and your brain. And there's a lot more that like your stomach actually tells your brain to do than we used to think. And so trying to eat more fruits and vegetables, more fiber helps feed those bacteria. And it can like actually make you like your mental health a lot better. It's crazy. But I guess in that case, like, again, adding more fiber helps the bacteria. So adding more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans, those are all really great sources of fiber that could potentially make you happier.
Let's go eat your beans right now.
I didn't know. So I'm supposed to be happier now? Oh,
Let's
shoot.
go eat the beans.
I don't know if it's working for me yet because because I started trying to get really get a lot of vegetables into my diet. One thing that my dad has been telling me for like months is like, eat tons of vegetables and fruits and then have just like some source of protein, like add that in kind of. So like, I'm not vegetarian by all means, but it's just a lot heavier on the plant-based. And I haven't seen any particular result yet, and I am still like working out. I mean, I definitely added that back in, like after COVID and stuff. Like, yes, I do go to the gym and stuff now. But especially for someone like me that's adding all these vegetables into the diet, it's kind of shocking for my body right now because I'm not like digesting everything very well. Like a lot of things will just go straight through me, and I'm sure that has to do with like anxiety too. But I guess like what would be your suggestion to like slowly incorporate? Like what kinds of things would you suggest like to start with and then move
Build
into
up.
Because like I had a big bowl of beans. Let me tell you, I soaked them for 3 days thinking that all the gas was going to be released.
soaked them.
And I was in pain for more than 24 hours.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Oh yeah, I was in pain.
I watched the soaking process. It was very interesting. Didn't know. Yeah, didn't know that part.
So first of all, maybe make sure you don't have like any GI disorder or anything. I mean, it doesn't really sound like
she does.
Oh, okay.
I have IBS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, IBS is very specific to the person. Like, I also work in a hospital, so I see like a lot more people with like these types of things in the hospital, and like it always seems like they know exactly what they should be eating or shouldn't, and it's a very like case to case basis. So for that, like, just in general, trying to add more fiber all at once can cause that. It can have like some very bad effects in the bathroom. Like, so trying to just like add maybe like 5 grams on average every week and see if that's a little bit better. So if you like look, or if you're trying to like track for a week or something and like see that you only eat 5 grams of fiber a week, maybe next week try to add 5 in the form of like I always like teaching tracking. So it's like hard for me to get out of that idea. But like, if you're able to see like, okay, well this week I had 5. So next week, let me try to like average 10 grams a day. Next week, maybe let me average like 5 grams and just wait for your digestion to get better. And it eventually should get better so that you can get up to the recommended 25 grams. But yeah, if you have IBS, it's a little different.
No, of course. And I don't want it to be specific to IBS because I know it's very like, one day you can be clogged up and the next day it can go right through you. That's IBS for you. You're welcome. But
we all have our issues.
But like if you had to pick like, cause I know like kale, like dark leafy greens are very high in fiber, but like the kale or the cabbage.
And they're good for inflammation, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff is like it's just very hard for me to digest. Like if I have like a handful of spinach, I'm okay, but having a handful of kale just like gets me every time. So I'm just like wondering, of course, like I obviously don't eat them enough, but I guess like if you could do like a list from like low fiber to high fiber, what would those items be?
Let's see. So first of all, I'd want to make sure you're drinking enough water. So drinking enough water can really help with fiber as well, because fiber, if you think of it like it like soaks up all the water in your gut. So it's like if you have no water, it can like physically cause a blockage. So yeah, drinking more water. Or like any liquid, besides like coffee or tea or something, because those will just like dehydrate you.
Right.
Can help like really kind of like, if you think of it like, I don't know, like the cat litter. Like if you don't have enough water, it will like just get stuck. And so drinking enough water can help with that. And then also, let's see, lower fiber fruits and vegetables are things like, let me start from higher fiber because I feel like that would be easier for me. Yeah. So high fiber are things like berries have the most fiber out of all fruits, like all fruits. That's a really high fiber food. So does like the skins of food. So anything with a skin, which is why like berries, they have a lot of skin per surface area, but like apples, pears, if you eat them with the skin on, that's where most of the fiber is. Fruits and vegetables. I mean, for vegetables, beans has the most fiber. Sweet potatoes have a lot of fiber. Yeah. Like spinach and kale, or if you're eating a lot of it, have a lot of fiber. And then when you're going down the list, so like white potatoes don't have as much fiber. If you eat like a apple without a peel, it doesn't have as much fiber. Doing things like canned pears, that's going to be a little bit better for you.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, I was going to ask about the cooking process. So like, I know at least in my case, like, I mean, especially with IBS, you say you have a low FODMAP diet, which I forget what FODMAP stands for. But I know that, you know, having bland foods that are easy to digest are always going to be the best, at least in my case, which sucks because I'm passionate about food and I cook and everything. So you don't want to have bland things all the time. But I know, like, you know, having just like the plain white rice or like the potato or applesauce, like the applesauce, it's like, and not with sugar, like I get it unsweetened, but it's like pureed, it's already cooked down, so it's just like a lot easier to digest. And those things, I always feel okay.
You're like, my stomach doesn't hurt then.
Yeah. Or like soups too.
Yeah. The cooking process, I wouldn't say it necessarily takes out the fiber, but like, especially if you're not eating it with the skin. So like applesauce, there's no skin in it. So that's probably why you feel better. Or like, a lot of times, like, especially when I get hospital patients that like have like problems with like digestion, either they have Crohn's or something like that. Like I'll recommend, like trying to cook vegetables, like boil them to death, or like to have them steamed instead of eating a raw carrot. Cause that like physically causes roughage, which is harder for your body to digest. So yeah, softer foods, cooking them down at first can really help you build up that tolerance to where you could maybe get to the point one day where you have more fiber.
I guess the last thing I'd like to ask, are there any supplements that you'd suggest that anybody takes? Supplements and vitamins on the side of all the diet.
For supplements, I always recommend everyone needs to take a multivitamin, because we're probably not getting in 100% of all the like vitamins and minerals you need. And on that, it should be a chewable. I feel like not enough people know this, because you absorb more of it if you're chewing the actual vitamins. So like, I love, like Smarty Pants. I'm no way I've ever been sponsored by them or anything. I just like how they taste. And I think they are like, they're chewy, they're good. And as far as other vitamins and minerals and supplements, I don't really recommend anything else, because a multivitamin is good enough unless you have like a like lab values that say that you are deficient in something. So some people are deficient in vitamin D, but trying to get out in the sun is better than taking the supplement. But if it's so low, then taking a supplement. Or some people are really low in iron, especially with like gut issues or like celiacs or something like that. So if your doctor recommends to do the supplement, then do the supplement. But most of the time I just think a multivitamin is good enough.
That's good to know. I have to take a turmeric ginger situation because I have because of the cyst inflammation. I have like a lot of inflammation. So I find that once I started taking a turmeric vitamin, that helped me a lot depuff and like feel better.
I know, like with Ayurvedic stuff, which gets like very Eastern medicine.
Well, that was a big word.
Yeah. Even like creating pastes, I know people will do for the inflammation, like a ginger with garlic, turmeric, and you'll make like this paste basically. And then you can use that, and make a soup out of it or a tea out of it. Either one, I guess it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. For me, everything is heavy with gut. Like the ginger and turmeric for me. And that's what my doctors have told me. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on probiotics at all?
So people with gut issues that have like been diagnosed, that can really help with that. Taking a probiotic. If you're just kind of like an everyday person that doesn't have any digestion issues, taking a probiotic can be beneficial, but there's really not that much research that says that you should. It's a lot more evidence that we need to feed the gut. So like I said, doing the prebiotics, which is fiber. So eating more, what we were just saying, like fruits, vegetables, beans, that really helps the gut like get stronger. But if you've taken like antibiotics, or that's like why like women get a yeast infection after you take an antibiotic, doing like a probiotic can help just like get more of the bacteria in there. But if you're perfectly healthy and fine, I normally just say just eat fiber to feed those bacteria.
Yeah, just eat nature, what nature gives us. Meanwhile, I still take my probiotic. I have one more thing that I want to ask. Any fads? Are there any fads out there right now that you're just like, no, nonsense? Is like celery juice like a real thing?
I had a traumatizing experience with celery juice. Like straight up traumatizing. You said celery juice and I literally just tasted it. And
really?
Yeah.
No, celery juice, I don't know. I haven't seen any like I'm always just like, what does the research say? And I don't see that it says anything about like juicing that helps. Like if anything, eating celery is going to be better than celery juice. Taking that multivitamin is going to help any deficiencies you have, or yeah, I don't know what I see. I feel like I see some people that like come to me with like the intermittent fasting thing. I feel like it's still a big thing. And I'm like, it doesn't really like matter when you eat your calories. Like even like I work in a hospital and tons of doctors ask me, they're like, you need to tell our patients to do intermittent fasting. I'm like, no, I'm not. Do not tell me to say that. And don't tell them to say that too. Or like, I guess I feel like some people are still coming off of the keto thing, but I feel like that was more popular last year, but I don't know. I don't know what 2021 will have in store for fad diets.
Well, no, that's interesting. The intermittent fasting too.
Everyone always still talks about that for sure. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, eat when you want to eat. Like, you're hungry.
Intuitive eating, and then you blow up into a whale.
No, I mean, it's like, I feel like it is. If you eat healthy and you work out and you feed your soul.
Yeah.
Kumbaya. Yeah. Like, you're going to feel better.
Yeah, we're always trying to find, and we overcomplicate the situation when it's really just so simple. Nature gave us the food, eat it.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's it. The moral of this episode.
Eat kale.
And goldfish. For snacks.
Yeah, that's my snack. Hummus o'clock.
Hummus o'clock.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining. I learned so much today. I knew going into this episode, this is like your time to shine. And I was like, I'm learning a lot right now. So I did. Hopefully everyone else did too. And where can everyone find you, or if they want your help, website, go ahead, plug yourself.
So TikTok, I'm on TikTok at Millennial Nutritionist, Instagram, the Millennial Nutritionist. And then I do help millennials with weight loss. So I can help anyone that needs them with that. And my website is themillennialnutritionist.com.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Easy. You can find it on everything. And we're the same, guys. Find us like our stuff. Millennial Girls, Millennial_Girls on Instagram, Millennial Girls Podcast on YouTube. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. And of course, like we said earlier, leave that 5-star review because it helps the algorithm, so they say.
On Apple Podcasts.
Yes. At Racquel Goldy, my personal.
At Natasha Salehi.
And we will see you guys next time. As we say here, peace love,
love,
and unicorns.